Hey everybody, so a brand new unit just rolled in here to TFL Off-Road HQ for review, and it is right there. That is the Kawasaki Mule Pro MX, and it's actually a brand new model for 2019. So in this video, we're gonna crawl all over this unit, find out all of its features and what makes it unique, and then stay tuned because in the near future, we'll be dropping a full review. But for now, let's dig into this machine. The thing that makes this all-new Kawasaki Pro MX unique in the Mule lineup is its size. This is what Kawasaki calls a mid-size side-by-side. So it's not nearly as big as those big full-size Mule Pro models, but it still offers all of the different features you can get on the Mule Pro. So when we're talking about overall length here, this Pro MX is 110 inches long, and I pulled the stats also for the Pro FX. Now that's a full-size model, but just for comparison, the Pro FX is 133 inches, so that's over 20 inches shorter when you go for the MX. Now the overall width on this machine is 60 inches, and again, those full-size Mule Pro models, they're 64 inches, so we're a little bit skinnier here as well. Now overall height is 75.8 inches, that's just slightly lower than a full-size model, and curb weight right here is 1,590 pounds for this Pro MX, and that's roughly 200 to 300 pounds lighter than one of those full-size Pro FX models. Another aspect we have to talk about is the wheelbase. So here on the Pro MX, you're looking at a 78.9 inch wheelbase, whereas the full-size Pro FX, 92.3. So that is a significant difference in wheelbase. Now let's talk about the powertrain, and first I can show you the dump bed. So to dump this bed, there are a couple of these latches, one on each side, and when they're closed, they look like that. So you open it up, and then the bed has a gas assist shock, and you just pull up on it, and there it goes, revealing the power plant. So right down there in this Pro MX model, that is a 695cc 4-stroke single-cylinder engine. And what's interesting here is Kawasaki boasts about the torque offered by this engine, and when you compare it, it actually seems pretty torquey. So this little unit makes 42.7 pound-feet of torque, but if you look at the full-size Pro FX, which uses a 3-cylinder engine, that unit only makes 48 pound-feet. So it's essentially just a 5 pound-foot difference between this small engine and the full-size Mule Pro's engine. So now we can go ahead and close up our dump bed here. Now that we're back here, let's look at the cargo bed. So this bed, the dimensions are 33.4 inches long, 44.1 inches wide, and 9.1 inches deep. And once again, that is much smaller than the full-size Pro FX. You're talking about over 10 inches in length, over just about 10 inches in width, and then the big bed is actually 11 inches deep, whereas this is only 9 inches deep. So you're definitely getting a smaller bed on this model because it's just smaller. Bed capacity here on the Pro MX, 700 pounds, and that's compared to 1,000 pounds in the big Pro FX. Now, a couple things I just want to point out on the bed. First of all, the steel diamond plating, and that diamond plating is actually throughout this model, and you can see it down there on the floor. So the floor is actually that same diamond plating, which is nice and heavy duty. And another thing I really like in this bed, all the tie downs. 1, 2, 3 tie down points, and they're offered on both sides. And then I really do like this rail system as well, and the rail runs along the front and the sides, and that just means that that's one more point to either tie something onto or bungee something down with. So there's certainly a lot of versatility and utility when you look back here at this Mule's bed. Now tow capacity here is rated at 1,500 pounds, and you do get a proper 2-inch hitch receiver. And once again, in comparison, the full-size Mule Pro FX can do 2,000 pounds, so you're only losing 500 pounds of towing capacity by going for this smaller model. Now we can also talk about the suspension. So in the front and the rear, we have a pretty typical double wishbone setup. Now up front, you're getting 8.6 inches of suspension travel, and in the rear, you're getting 9.1 inches of travel, which are pretty good numbers for a utility-focused machine. So the tires on this unit are 25-inch Duro tires, and the Mule MX has disc brakes at all 4 corners. And then when we're talking ground clearance here, overall ground clearance sits at 10.6 inches. And that's actually slightly more ground clearance than in the big Mule, which only gets 10.4 inches. So by now you've probably also noticed that this Mule Pro MX has a bunch of accessories fitted to it, and I cannot wait to test each one of them out, and we'll look at the pricing and we will decide whether or not each accessory is worth it. So first of all, right down there in the front bumper, you have a Warn Pro Vantage 3500 winch, and of course you also have to buy the winch mount kit to get that in there. Now up here, this is what they call a KQR full glass windshield. This is proper automotive style glass, no plexiglass here. It's pretty heavy duty windshield, and it comes with that windshield wiper. Now we also have an LED light bar up front, and that is in conjunction with the Mule's headlights, because every Mule gets regular halogens on the outside and then LEDs on the inside. So you get LED light bar combined with the LED headlights. We'll definitely go out at night and see how that works. So up front here we have this brush guard fitted for extra protection, and also where protection is concerned, we actually have CV joint guards front and rear, so you can see those guards, which are going to just help to make sure your CV boots stay intact. Now, a couple other things, and they're both on the inside. First of all, these headrests are actually accessories, and you have to buy those brackets as well to attach them. And then you can install these headrests, which is definitely appreciated. And then finally, we have a rear view mirror, which is quite big and fairly adjustable. Now let me climb in here on the passenger side, and I can show you the interior of this Mule. So first of all, a nice big thick padded bench seat. You get your big shifter up here, and here's all your controls. So this is 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. This operates the rear differential locker. Now these are for your different sets of lights. So one is for your LEDs, one's for the regular halogens. There's the control for the winch, and then this down here turns on and off your light bar. Now, like all Kawasaki's, there is a small display screen here. I can turn it on so you can see that. It is pretty small, but you know what? It does work well and does deliver all the information that you're gonna need. Now, down here, you have a pretty interesting parking brake. I haven't seen one like this before. You actually just pull it straight out, and then to release it, give it a twist, and it pushes right back in like that. Now, in front of me here, we do have a small glove box, which has a really nice locking mechanism. We'll open that up. Oh, you know what? And that is a nice deep glove box. I appreciate that. And then, of course, there's a few other little cubbies here. There's a cubby there, a cup holder, a cubby up here, one over there right in front of the driver. So not a bad amount of sort of at-hand storage right here in the Mule. And then one thing I like on the driver's side is right there. That's the dead pedal. And I always appreciate having a good dead pedal, and that looks like it's been added on after the fact, but that's okay, because having that is nice. And a lot of utility machines don't have dead pedals. They just make do with an entirely flat floor. Now, another thing I can show you right there behind the mirror, that's the operation for the windshield wiper, and I just turn the power on. There she goes. So I haven't had any real heavy rain to try that out yet, but I gotta say, I do really like the windshield. Now, one thing you may have noticed is there is a plastic roof on here as well. That roof is actually included on the Pro MX, so that is not an accessory. So all of this stuff, the light bar, the winch, the windshield, it adds over a couple $1,000s to the price of this Pro MX. So when I do my full review, we're gonna look at every single accessory and do our best to decide, is it really worth it? One more thing here, guys. First of all, let me start it up for you. Now check out the screen here, and you can see 4.4 engine hours. That's all this machine has on it. It's basically brand new, along with 11 miles. Just 11 miles and 4.4 hours. So this Mule, let me shut it off now, just like our long-term Ranger XP1000 Backcountry Edition, is brand spanking new, which means we need to do the break-in. So let's take a look in the owner's manual and see what Kawasaki recommends for a break-in period. So they actually recommend the first 20 hours, that's the same as Polaris, or 200 kilometers, but Kawasaki says do not exceed half throttle during break-in period. I like this line here. You might end up with a broken down machine instead of a broken in vehicle. That's pretty great. Now down here, basically, do not start or race the engine. That's a fun word too, race the engine. Immediately after starting it, do not race the engine in neutral. And then it's important that right after break-in, you take it in for its initial service. But the half throttle thing is interesting because some manufacturers recommend a really soft break-in, and that's what I would call this. And then some manufacturers, the one off the top of my head I can think of is Ram with pickup trucks. They actually recommend occasional full throttle blasts, basically, when you're breaking it in. So they advocate more of a hard break-in, and I know different brands think differently about this, but with this Cowie, we gotta have a soft break-in, so I better start driving and get my 20 hours in on this thing so I can finally floor it. Well, everybody, I am excited to really test out this Mule Pro MX. I have some really tight trails here on the property, so we'll make sure we run those and see if its small size really is an advantage, and then we'll also do some hard work with it. I'll hook up a trailer, and we will once again see if its small size is a disadvantage when it comes to work ethic. So why don't you guys go in the comments below, let me know what you think of the Mule MX, let me know what you want to see me do with it. I always want your input because I want you guys to help steer these reviews. And as always, make sure you come right back here to the channel for the latest news, views, and real world reviews. See ya!